issues with the Corvette. And people don't believe me that these things are not the most reliable. AC went out. When I got the car, I could hear a little leak coming from this connection right there. So underneath that connection, it has basically a larger outer diameter that goes over a smaller inner diameter, and the inner diameter has two O-rings. And when I pulled that off, the upper section had like a scar on it that I think that was the cause of the issue. Someone had forcefully pulled it out and had scraped against some of the metal, and it was leaking slowly by there. Well, AC went out, so I'm thinking, all right, well, I'm just low on Freon. So I evacuate the system, attempt to fix that issue, replace the O-rings, clean up that scar to where it won't leak anymore, put everything back together, went to the dealership to refill the system, although I normally would go to a local shop. They weren't open today. That's one thing I can't do. And still no AC. And then, thankfully, this is my own ignorance, but the dealership finds that the belt is off from the compressor, which I find a little bit hard to believe, but I'm sure that's the case. Because I know I remember looking previously, and can't really see it. Oh, okay, there it is. But the belt was definitely on, and you can also see it rubbing against that plug right there a little bit, which I hope isn't damaged. But it somehow came off, I think. There's also a separate tensioner for it that I hope doesn't need to be replaced. So I'm gonna attempt to put back on the belt, see if everything works, and there's a good chance I might have to replace that tensioner. The guy at the dealer said the tensioners on these cars are not uncommon to go out, and that they have done a few before, which is one of those things that should really never go out, or you should never have issues with, in my opinion. So yeah, we'll see. It should be a simple issue, but wanted to kind of cover that plug leaking, and then also anytime you have any AC issues, it's always just a good check to make sure the belt is on. I mean, in most cars you don't have a separate belt. I think this is kind of more of an LS thing, but just make sure the belt is on, make sure the wires are connected. Look at the obvious stuff first. It'll take 10 seconds. All right, main belt is off. You have to do that because the AC compressor belt is behind it, and I'll probably have to go up underneath the car and try and wiggle it on there. Here's the new belt. Here's the one that came off. It didn't rip. Seems like it might have broken loose and then got caught somewhere and then just fell off and was rubbing somewhere. Alright, underneath the car, it's a bit tight. There's the compressor, there's a tensioner, and there's the harmonic balancer. So I'm going to feed this up around there through these hoses, and it doesn't look like it'll be too bad, but can't really get this on video, but I'll let you know what happens. Alright, I have spent almost 3 hours working on this, and this should be a 20-minute job. And I'm not fully done, but I'm close. Just now got the belt over there. Apparently the one I got that is specified as OEM at the auto parts store did not fit. It was like 1.5 inches off. Maybe that's because of the aftermarket harmonic balancer, but I don't think so. So they also said for the Z06 it's a 5-ring or 5-nub belt, not a 4, and this one's a 4. So it's almost like the compressor has been replaced before on this with the one from the LS3, but it's tough to know for sure. But anyway, you can't get a wrench up in here to turn this tensioner enough to pull it down. So I literally had to get a ratchet strap, and this actually worked pretty well and didn't take too long to do this. But it's just, I mean, it's literally taken me 3 hours to figure out it's the wrong one. Can't get a wrench in there. And then finally, okay, I'm just going to use a ratchet, and it finally worked. And now I have to get the main belt back on, which will probably take another 20 minutes. Alright, just took the car out for a spin. Everything feels good. The AC is working again. I got the belt back on for the second time. The new tensioner is on the way, but I should be able to swap those out without too much effort. And I, would rather have AC for the time being. I'm trying to drive it gently when the AC is on, and hopefully that will prevent it from the belt coming off again.